Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Pauly Howard. We're live in downtown Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino is your spot. A fun 3-hour program lined up today. Tons of day baseball. 3 games about to start with their first pitch coming up in the next 5 to 10 minutes. A busy NBA card tonight with some serious seeding implications. Great guests today on the program, including Jeff Sealey, a full half-hour breakdown of the Masters. Mike Palm in studio coming up in an hour and 15. Zach Cohen on the NBA, and Matt Humans as he'll dissect the Masters as well. We'll get into that several which ways today, including a look at the overall first-round leader. Paul, do you have anything in action as we speak with this what are we talking about? 6-7 games in action right now in Major League Baseball.
Yep. Seattle, Texas under. And Seattle got me good yesterday. Kirby had 1 bad inning. Condolences if you had first 5.
Complete game.
They cannot hit. It's come on, man.
This whole series is an under series.
Yeah. Naylor, J-Rod. It's like we started the season a while ago, guys. You might want to join us. Mm-hmm. I mean, how bad they've been. And Seattle just can't hit. And it looks like Texas is going to get them again, where Gore's been good. But again, Seattle has no runs. Bottom of the 5th, 2-0 Texas. And as we said last week, it was a miracle that they had this many wins. 4 losses in a row, all by 1 run. They've lost 6 of 7, 16 total runs. Rodriguez hitting 220, Naylor hitting $104.
Yeah.
It's a travesty what's going on with Seattle.
I mean, we all expected some serious regression from Big Dumper this year. That's an impossible season to duplicate in 2026, but it's like contagious to the entire team. Mm-hmm. Everybody is going to show up to this season and not be ready for it, and they can't hit a lick. I'll tell you, there's no other.
Kidding.
I think Julio Rodriguez is the most frustrating player in baseball because he's got the talent to be an MVP like almost every single year, be in the mix.
He doesn't have an extra base hit.
He'll just go in these slumps for weeks where it's like, what are you doing at the plate, man? Mm-hmm. And it's infuriating.
Uh-huh.
The Dodgers right now are $1.35 or so to win the game up in Toronto. Has not, by the way, another team here. Bad start to the season for the Blue Jays, and in fact, they just got one. So the lines are changing as we speak. No. Blue Jays just got one off Ohtani right now in the 3rd. They lead 1-0, and they have now flipped to the favorite, about $1.63 at DraftKings.
So that ends Ohtani's scoreless streak. Going back regular season, that was 24 2/3, and that's why he's the best thing going. He's reached base 43 in a row. If you had the walk, you cashed right away. And they finally got... Is that Springer, too? Because Springer has owned him. Springer started off the game with a base hit on him. Springer has incredible numbers against him. Mm-hmm. But you are correct. They've lost 6 in a row, 11 runs the last 7. And they've had plenty of issues here, too. And we'll see now Springer 10 of 18 career against Ohtani.
All right, so here's one observation, like the second, 3rd week now of baseball, that I think is going to be evergreen throughout the entire year. The Rockies are clearly not as bad as they were last year.
Oh, no way.
And when they were they the runaway team with the worst ROI last year, or do we have a good team that was actually close to them? Because they were just on pace to be the worst team in the history of the sport.
Yeah, if they win, they're 6-6. They got their 6th win last year in their 31st game.
Look at this. They're up 4-1 now on the Stros. The Stros were clanging and banging going into the series. They might get swept.
Mm-hmm.
And they had that one good, the very first game of the series. They scored a bunch of runs, lost the game, didn't do much yesterday at all, and already down 4-1 in this game. And I know Freeland is a longtime vet of the Colorado Rockies. He was good yesterday, but they appeared to be much improved, and I think maybe a team where you can – I haven't bet them yet this year, but I wanted to let it breathe for a minute. And clearly now, for those of you who entered the season thinking the Rockies were going to be improved and betting on them, well, you're killing it at this point.
Yep.
And I think this is probably going to linger for a little while.
Great story. I had to take I wanted Aaron Nola today. I thought I had to take Aaron Nola. The game's on the 2nd inning. Hard to believe. Philly hasn't won a series in San Francisco since 2013, and this is the rubber game.
Wow.
They should get to Pauly. I think they can get enough off him. And another observation in a game that's just starting, I would wait and just do in-play with Washington and St. Louis. 19 of the 28 runs in this series have been scored in the 6th inning on. And it's ugly for Michaelis. Oh, boy. He's got an ERA of 15.
Well, they left him in for 11 earned runs in this, last start?
Yeah.
No good. We also have Braves Angels coming up.
Oh, how about last night?
Well, Holmes against Detmers.
Donnybrook.
So the craziest thing I think about that brawl, and Soler owns Lopez for what it's worth. Like, it's only a very small sample size. Did you notice that in that brawl, Lopez, for the Braves, held onto the baseball the entire time? And when he tried to whack him in the head with that fist and the punch, he still had the baseball in his head. And then when he was removed or like pushed aside, he still had the baseball in his hand, gripping it. And was he going to throw it at somebody? Did he want to chuck it at Soler's head and hit him? But why did he grip it? I mean, he had this absolute steel, death grip on it.
Mm-hmm. I was focused on Walt Weiss, who took down Soler, and the guy's apparently a black belt.
Mm-hmm.
What a move.
Pretty good.
Technique, it's like Del Toro in one battle after another. Courage, Bob. Courage. It was an incredible textbook takedown by the little fella. Excellent. So we could expect fireworks tonight. But Angels off to a good start. And that's a lot of surprises and a bizarre season so far in MLB with a lot of teams that aren't hitting. And it continues for Detroit.
A lot of unders in these games.
Yes, that's true. The weather's supposed to improve in Minneapolis. You want to get there with Valdez on the road? They're 2-0 when he starts. They're 2-7 when he doesn't start.
Yeah, I mean...
No help for Skubal, and he got a little bit roughed up
Sure he did.
too.
Sure, a little bloody in that game.
Yeah.
So there is a game opening pitch coming up here in a few moments. We'll tell you about the Opta AI stats at vsin.com because they're hot and heavy on this game. It's D-backs at the Mets. Nelson takes on Peterson. The Opta AI K-props at the website. They like Peterson quite a bit. They project him for 5.05 Ks in the game. 5+ was around plus 125 earlier. They have a 12.4% edge on his K-prop to the over. They made that number minus 132. They also project Jose Fernandez, the rookie shortstop for the Diamondbacks, 2+ total bases. They really like it around plus 220. They project 1.76. They made the number minus 111. And also 2+ hits, runs, or RBIs. At plus 145, they project 1.94. They made that number minus 137. And Opta AI, the numbers there, they like the total bases for the Franciscos, Lindor and Alvarez for the Mets. There is this from Steve Makinen. The Mets are 27-10, plus 15.6 units last 37 games against the Diamondbacks. The ROI on that trend is plus 42.3%. They've been very good against this team. Peterson about $1.30 here at Circa now.
Okay.
I did not love the card that we have coming up a little bit later on. I'm going back to my one winner yesterday in pocket was Schlittler with the K's over. He barely got there, but he did. I'm doing it again with Will Warren. I played over 5.5. It's a very doable number. You can find like minus 108 on the over, minus 110 in that range against the A's. But they were game last night in that contest.
Condolences on that one.
Yep.
3-1, bottom of the 8th. Totals 8-4 spot. Yankees cover the run line and you push on the total.
Mm-hmm.
Not as bad as Miami, though. Just
well, that's absolutely disgusting for
2-0
sure.
2-0 in the 9th. Forget about winning a game. A game goes over. 6-3 final. Nuts.
So we're watching the par 3 contest right now at the Masters. We'll be live on the air tomorrow during the first round. And, several of these guys near the top of the leaderboard have been very popular all week long, one of which would be Cam Young, extraordinarily popular this week. Last check here at Circa, he was down around 19-1. Here is Kelly Bidlin on the great podcast here at VSiN called Long Shots, explaining why he's on Cam Young at the Masters.
Only other bet that I made this week outright so far, Cameron Young, I'm in there with you, Wes. I saw a 28 at the very beginning of the week, jumped on that immediately. I thought he was going to be kind of where he's priced at now, like 20 to 22-ish, and I didn't know if that was going to box me out. When I saw a 28, I thought that was good to jump in. And look, I think anything mid-20s is a good bet on Cameron Young. I think he's really one of the guys, him and Fitzpatrick, that I was the most interested in getting involved with this week heading into this tournament. Last 24 rounds, 3rd tee to green, 3rd off the tee, 8th on approach. The scrambling and putting numbers are good. We know the putter can get hot with him. 10th in bogey avoidance. He's one of the longer guys on the tour. Masters results, played here 4 times. 2 missed cuts, 2 top 10s, right? He's proven he can do it. He's proven he can miss the cut here. So might be a fun ride with Cameron Young this week. Outright top 5, top 10, top 20 on him for me.
Kelly Bidlin, full ladder there. And there's also this. We're getting very active with VSiN Live on Instagram. Some of the winning trends that they put up. 13 of the last, and Wes talked about this as well yesterday on the show, 13 of the last 14 Masters winners ranked 16th or better in the official world golf rankings, and 13 of the last 14 Masters winners had at least 2 top 15 finishes in their 3 events leading up to the tournament. 16 of the last 17 ranked top 50 or better for driving distance in the year before their wins. And Xander Schauffele at around plus 1750. Cam Young, the guy that Kelly Bidlin just talked about, 22-1 in that range, depending on where he's at right now, fit the bill there. The only 2 guys.
Bears number 1 in money and tickets at the Westgate. And at MGM, Scheffler's out to 6-1. And they said DeChambeau's a fan favorite. And people are taking Koepka 37-1.
Oh, boy.
Yes. Good luck with that.
What was the first thing that you said there?
Bear at the Westgate. Number 1 in ticket count and money.
Can you get on him after another Sunday collapse like this past weekend?
No. Nope.
Played here twice, in the mix both times. Finished second a couple years ago. Was right there last year and then fell apart. He's got all the talent in the world, but there's something about this guy on Sundays that, and we'll ask, we're going to have Jeff Sealey that. He knows this firsthand. He was on Bear this past week at Valero, and it was looking great for the first couple of rounds. And then what happened on Sunday? Bye. So
those are great numbers, strong numbers. And even furthermore, the last 7 winners, rankings, they were ranked 6th, 1st, 14th, 1st, 3rd, 1st, and 2nd. And certainly Rahm's getting a lot of love, too. He's been awesome.
All right, we have runs of 11 straight and 16-4 in the NHL, and you're probably still asking yourself, what the hell happened last night? As am I. We got everything we wanted, but this, and win-lose next.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
Win Some, Lose Some is sponsored by the Sharp Plays.
Were you a winner last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
NHL, Mammoth do it again. 11 first period overs in a row and a great comeback win against Edmonton. Kraken 16-4, first period overrun. Favorites went 8-1 straight up, and favorites in the NBA 9-1 straight up. Raptors +1 to -2.5 blew out Miami. Miami locked into the play-in and likely the 9-10. Thunder 14.5 up to 18. No sweat against the Lakers. Subscribe, be part of the team, vsin.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos. At Pauly Does Vegas on Instagram. Send them in, we'll put you on. This guy is digging in the dirt. The other one's giving the dirt CPR. I've never seen this move before with the guy on the right. Yeah, they're looking for something. The guy on the left's got his nose on it, and he's picking up on something. And the other guy's, I've never seen that move as he's trying to help out. And that's a
hell of a dance move.
It is, yes. It is very good. That's incredible. Lose some, the Jazz from 11 down to 6. No shot in that one. And plenty of bad beats. The A's +240, under 8, and +1.5 runs. 3-1, bottom of the 8th. Yankees win 5-3. Marlins and under. The total was 7. 2-0, top of the 9th, 2 outs. Sandy kind of upset after the game. He had a good quote. I've earned the right where you should come out and ask me, am I okay? Can I continue?
Yeah, he said basically, maybe you ask me how I'm feeling next time.
Yeah. They take him out. The bullpen implodes. It goes to extra innings. 6-3 Reds. Then it was a wild pitch with 2 outs. They didn't even, they handed it to him. And Mariners first 5, 2-0, bottom of the 5th. Texas gets 3, and that holds up, and they win 3-2. Baseball every day. NBA, NHL playoffs coming soon. Sharp Plays covers it all. They've been winning for 15 straight years. Logs posted publicly, sharpplays.com. Mr. Poison tweets every day. When they move, the books take notice. Advanced AI, trusted insider intel. They find the value before the numbers shift. Respected, watched, and feared. Start winning with them Jeff and the crew been with us since day one. Sharpplays.com. Give them a follow. Alerts directly from the pros. Sharp Plays.
I lost a good 3 bets last night with Cooper Flake props. Apologies if anybody tailed me, but the entire world was on him because he moved up to like 28.5 points.
Yeah, right. Very, very popular.
At
13 in the first quarter, right?
Yeah, 25.5 in pocket.
Okay.
He had 25 shots in the game, Paul.
Yes.
And he had 25 points with 11 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And that was it. He only took 2 more shots and never scored again. So all of those bets over 25.5, loser. The 30-plus, obviously, a loser because of that. And he was also pulled out of the game. It was a weird game. They were down 17-0. They came back and tied the game up eventually. Then he's yanked out of the game. He stayed under the points, rebounds, and assists. And now, guess what? They have to run it right back again tonight.
Yes.
And take on the Phoenix Suns. And Joe Osborne, our good buddy, had a tweet about this earlier today. It was spot on. The Mavericks on a back-to-back recently. Have you seen this?
This is great.
A 24-point loss to the Bucks. 18-point loss to the Pelicans. Think about these teams. 33-point loss to the Cavs, 20 to the Celtics, and 19-point loss to the Grizzlies. As Osborne tweeted, quote, they're using the back-to-back as an excuse to take their foot off the gas, a.k.a. tanking. End of quote. And guess what? His points prop again, getting bet like everybody knows the result.
Yep.
Because it was 24.5, 25.5, and that's, I think, long gone now.
Well, the shots will be there.
Yeah,
And
you would think.
He's up to $3 now to win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, you went up even
He
more.
only had 25. You know, and Tim Bontemps had a good line on the Hoop Collective podcast that he says that most voters thought it was going to be Kahn and Kahn should win the award, but maybe people haven't been, quote, people haven't been paying attention that closely, and then they know how good of a player he's going to be, that they see what he's done the last week and they might change their mind. But still, to go up to $3 is nuts that he has 25 points and plus money to get to 30 tonight. Did have 7 rebounds, and the Suns know what's on the line. They lost. Houston won. Houston's in. Minnesota clinches a playoff spot. The Suns just trying to lock down the 7th seed. So they know where they're at, and they're going to open up against the Clippers or Portland to start next week.
Yeah, I would say this on the Rookie of the Year thing. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the Mavericks, again, their win total was 41.5. They are a projected borderline playoff team. This is nothing against Cooper Flake. The guy is obviously going to be a really good basketball player, and he's had a hell of a rookie season. But they have not, and I would say this, he hasn't played in a meaningful game yet in his entire rookie year.
Yeah.
There's one, well, there are several reasons, but Con Kneppel is absolutely a major reason why, when they took him that high in the draft, the Hornets are where they are. And they almost beat the Celtics. They led pretty much the entire way until, mid-fourth quarter. The Celtics came back to get him, and they covered in that game last night. They had a chance to still win that division. Now what? It's dead, right? They can't win their division. I can't imagine. They have to win out.
Magic number's 1.
Yeah.
Lando's magic number.
There you go. So, but he's a major reason why their win total was 24.5. They had a chance to double that, by the way, and a chance to win their division, and they're going to be a play-in team or a play-off team. Yeah. So, if that factors in, you can't ignore that.
I mentioned this earlier in the week, and the game is here. Cavs are up to 2.5 at home against Atlanta. You know, we were on this, and a lot of listeners had it 2 years ago. That was the Cavs to win the division. They were up 15 in the fourth quarter. So if they won, the final game, they won the division, they pulled everyone because they wanted to play Orlando, and they put in 2 centers, and they blew the lead and lost the game, got Orlando, won the series, and then lost in the second round. Why I say it, because this organization can do it again here. They can pick their seed, and they can pick their opponent. Tonight and Friday, they play Atlanta. If they lose both, they will be the 4 seed, and they will play the Atlanta Hawks in the 4-5 game. It's right there for them. Maybe it's an in-play, see if there's shenanigans. It appears they're going to play some guys. Atlanta's playing good ball. The magic number 1, as we mentioned. But it wouldn't be the worst thing if they played Toronto, but they don't want to see Boston. And they're right there behind the Knicks. Knicks have the tiebreaker, and the Knicks have a tough schedule to close out. So I would think Cleveland loses tonight. They lose at Atlanta Friday because they play the Wizards Sunday, and that's a win. I don't care who you put out there. You're going to beat the Wizards. So I would look at this in play, and I would think Atlanta wins these next 2 games, and that's your 4-5 matchup, I know the organization well.
So here's what the official injury report looks like tonight. Hawks are pretty clean. The Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell is questionable. Jalen Tyson is doubtful. Dean Wade is also questionable. And yet they're up to 3.
You know, they're playing it. They are 18th in defense since the All-Star break, and they've been bad guarding the 3. Hello, the Memphis game, as they tied the NBA record.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's bombs away with the Hawks tonight. Look at these points. Denver's 23.5. Is that a record?
No, because the Thunder were just 24.5.
Oh, they got to 24.
I think they touched 25 actually against the
did.
Jazz. Yeah, and they covered the game.
Okay, and Memphis is playing guys out there on 10-day contracts and what they're doing.
And that total in the game against Denver, by the way, is already, it was like it's 247 now. So it's.
I would think it goes over too. And Makinen's got the goods on that. When Denver plays bad teams, it's I think it's a 14-2 overrun. So Denver trying to lock down the 3 seed. I can't believe they got a money line up on the game. Memphis, they did lose to Memphis though in Memphis.
I know,
but Memphis is 16-1, and Cade's back. How about that? Pistons laying 20.5 at home against the Bucks.
Everybody out from Milwaukee again.
That's right. And the Timberwolves, that line went from 3 to 10.5. Minnesota is the 6th seed. And Minnesota's sitting everybody tonight on a back-to-back, and they know that they can't play any. They know what their status. They'll be the 6th.
I got an alert from our buddy Weston as soon as the news came out today on that game that it's official. Like they're sitting Gobert, Edwards, DeSanmu, Conley, McDaniel's questionable. Randall's out for this game.
Right.
Heavy props tonight on Dante DiVincenzo.
Oh, really?
He's going to go Bones Highland as well.
Okay, good.
But I played double-double at 22-1, and I played first quarter points over with Dante.
I like it.
At over 3.5 plus 125.
Yeah. Big for Orlando, too. They have now passed Charlotte and trying to get the 7 or 8 seed there with the Magic.
Yep.
Easy schedule to close. Tough loss for the Buzz City Killers last night.
Oh, man, I could taste that last night when they were leading the entire way.
Yep. Couple 8-0 runs by the Celtics. Tough. I like Portland tonight. Portland plus 3.5. No Wemby, no Castle. The OKC Magic number to get the 1 seed is 1. They're on a back-to-back, but they're 7.5 against the Clippers. And Portland just blew an 18-point lead in the fourth quarter at Denver. Kamara's been great. They hit a ton of threes. They beat the Clippers last time. It's right there for Portland now to get the 8 seed. They beat San Antonio. They get a Clipper loss. They play the Clippers at home Friday. And then they close with Sacramento. So I think I don't think the Spurs are going to care tonight. Now they have so much talent. They're so good that maybe they can win. But I like how Portland's playing, and they've been great from 3. And I think Portland's going to win the game outright tonight.
Yeah, there's also this Shaedon Sharp upgraded to doubtful. So he might not go tonight, but that's something to keep in mind their final couple of games because he's a key guy that was averaging 20 points per game. Is Wemby going to do this? Is he going to play one more game where he has 20 minutes logged so he can qualify?
So that would take him out of Defensive Player of the Year?
If he doesn't meet that criteria, he's out. He can't win. Then it's going to be probably Chet to win.
He's got to play 20 minutes in one of the two last games.
Yep.
Right, only 2 left.
Maybe they'll just save him for one of them to say, there we go. All right, mandatory Masters up next with Jeff Sealey. We'll get his keys to cashing tickets this weekend and rules he lives by for approaching this specific event next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Mandatory Masters here. Jeff Sealey joins the program. Has every week for a long time, like running on 6 years now, to talk about the PGA events on tap for that given week. You can follow him on X at Cupmaker Jeff, and the Cupmaker podcast is what he titled it as well, and that's available now for the Masters as well. Hey, buddy, you're joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Here's the plan of attack. In about 15 minutes, we're going to get into your outrights and your placements. Here we'll do a bunch of props, matchups, some DFS. We'll compare that to like the VSiN High Stakes Challenge at Splash Sports as well. And I'll begin by asking you this. What are some rules that, you've been betting this for a long time, rules to live by for specifically betting the Masters would be what?
Yeah, and we'll talk about this when we talk about the outrights, guys. I mean, I think there's only so many people that can win, right? I think Koepka said it best when talking about majors, and the Masters is certainly one of those in general, is there's so much dead money or just dead players in the field that have no chance to win. I think that's really unique, and it's a long enough course and tough enough track that course history matters, experience matters, and while there are some debutants who play well, obviously Oberg succeeded the first two times he's been here, he hasn't won, and so you can really limit it to who's going to win to, I don't know, 10 to 15 guys. And it's actually one of the props we'll talk about here in a bit is, I think, probably my favorite prop, because there's only so many people that can win. And so it's not like a U.S. Open or a PGA Championship where I think it's a lot more wide open. If you can hit the ball a long way into these U.S. Opens, you can compete. But this requires a lot more course knowledge, history, experience, and there's only 10 to 15 guys that could realistically win it.
You are heavy into DFS
good.
as well, with golf every week, and specifically the Masters as well. What would you explain? How could you explain the difference between attacking DFS this week and playing outrights?
I think the biggest thing is looking at and understanding ownership and understanding who's going to be popular in DFS and how you build your roster construction versus the betting markets. And so, if I were to look at a couple of guys, let's just take Jon Rahm, for example. I mean, Jon Rahm's on my betting card, but you could argue that Jon Rahm maybe would not be a great DFS play because he's very likely to be the highest guy owned in that Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Bryson DeChambeau range. Rahm's going to be the highest owned guy. And so you have to think about ownership and take that into account, because if you have the same players as everybody else, that doesn't do you any good. You don't have any leverage. So it's okay to take a few guys that are going to be popular, but you've got to find some guys that are going to be wildly under the radar as well, which is much more difficult to do. So it's the kind of art of, like, for a good example is, like, I don't think Colin Morikawa is a good bet this week, but I could see playing him in DFS as a very low owned guy who, if his back is okay and somehow he goes on a good run and wins, that he's going to be 25% of the ownership of a Jon Rahm. So you got to take a lot more game theory into play when playing DFS than you do obviously just betting outrights and replacement markets in the golf streets.
This has become a popular prop on social media, and I know you bet it as well. Can you explain the prop for winning score all 4 rounds?
Yeah. So again, you look at it, I think it's 274.5 or 275 around there. You can look at, okay, what do you think the guys are going to shoot every round? Kind of 12 under-ish, 12.5 under, 11.5 under is where it is right now. I like the over in that. I saw a bet at plus 365, bet 365, where you can bet 275 to 278, meaning the total winning score. So basically between 8 and 11 under, plus 150. I like that bet. I think it's going to play really tough tomorrow, a little bit tougher on Friday. And think about this as you're going throughout the course of the weekend, guys. They set it up easier every round. And so when you're thinking about birdies, you're thinking about various props like that. No, it's going to play its toughest on Thursday and its easiest on Sunday. And so depending on how books handle this, they generally don't do as good a job as they should as looking at the pins and understanding that. They just say, hey, guys haven't been as successful the first couple of rounds. So certainly something to look at on Saturday and Sundays. Things get easier. I would look to play my birdie props over on Saturdays and probably under on Thursday.
Okay, very good. Now, where did you find this prop? And you have a lot of them that you're going to attack it with. I think this is very creative. Lowest round 1 score of any live player. Who'd you play there, and where'd you find that?
Yeah, so I found that at DraftKings, and the thought here is, and this is kind of a boom bust scenario, and I'm playing some of this in DFS too, is I played Cam Smith at plus 810. Because look, if his short game is elite, like arguably the best in the world, chipping and putting, absolutely elite short game. His concern has been his driver, his irons to a lesser degree, but certainly his driver. All reports are that his irons look really good, this week thus far. And then he's figured something out with the driver. So at 8-1, I'm willing to take a shot. It's 1 round, right? So the first round low score. I know the short game is going to be there. If he can keep the driver in the fairway and get the irons anywhere close to the green, I have a ton of faith in his ability to get up and down in what should be tough conditions. I mean, you could easily play Jon Rahm or I guess not Patrick Reed anymore. You could play Jon Rahm in the same spot, maybe a Bryson, but at 8-1, I really like Cam Smith at that price.
Okay, you mentioned this earlier. First time major winner. No minus 170, 2 units.
Yeah, guys, I mean, it's just that. I mean, the only guys who are at the top of the board who can beat you, in my mind, here is Oberg, Cam Young, Fleetwood, and Minwoo Lee. So you're basically laying 172 that one of those guys don't win. I mean, if Scotty, Rahm, Bryson, Rory, Xander, Matt Fitzpatrick, Hideki, Morikawa, Rose, Koepka, Reed, Spieth, JT, I just go on and on and on. Any of those guys win, you win. I just think this is a super short number. I mean, how there's so many guys, so many ways to win and so few ways to lose this thing. I love this prop. Minus 172, I think, is more than fair. I've already bet that, and that's one again, it goes back to who there's only a handful of guys that can win here. I guess I like Oberg, I like Cam Young, I like all those guys. We'll talk about them later, but I'm certainly if you're going to give me all of those other guys and only laying minus 172, I'm going to take that all day. I think it's a great prop.
Okay.
All right, this is a fun one as well. How about most eagles? This is for the entire tournament. Who'd you go to war with here?
Yeah, guys, Jake Knapp leads the PGA Tour in par 5 scoring average. He's an Eagles machine, right? And when you're going to make Eagles on par 5s, to get Jake Knapp at 55-1, I think is amazing. You're getting the best par 5 scorer and at an amazing price. So yeah, I bet down on DraftKings, most Eagles, Jake Knapp, 55-1. I think that's a great price on a guy who's having a phenomenal season.
How about top Asian?
Yeah, top Asian. I'm going to be on the Sanjay M train this week a little bit, and I'm kind of a believer in his comeback. If you believe in course horses, this is your guy. I mean, he was T2 in 2020, T8 in 2022, T16 in 2023, and T5 last year. With Hideki struggling with his driver as he has been, Siwoo's ability to putt his way out of any tournament. I'm a big fan of this price on Sanjay at 4-1. Been battling a wrist injury that he's been coming back from, but he was crushing through 3 rounds of the Valspar. Shows that he's back healthy. I think 4-1 is a good price on Sanjay here. I'm certainly interested in him. Just if nothing else for course history.
Two matchups. Is this an indictment of Koepka or more of a bet on Pat Reed? Reed minus 120.
Yeah, it's more of a bet on Pat Reed. I mean, with Koepka, he's not going to be on my outright card this week for the first time in a long time with the Masters. I'm taking a wait-and-see approach. He was talking about having a cracked driver head and that being some of the cause of some of his driver issues. I want to see a good full round with the driver, and I want to see some decent putting. If I see some of that, then I'll bet him, Friday or something. But it's really, really tough to bet against Pat Reed here. At minus 120, I think it's a great price against Koepka. And then I mentioned Jake Knapp. I like Jake Knapp a lot this week as well. Cantlay. I mean, there's some people who like Cantlay, but I do like Jake Knapp as a matchup over Cantlay at minus 110. I bet that as well.
All right. Outrights and placements coming up in about 5 minutes here. I think a live golfer. In fact, I have outright bets on 2 live golfers, DeChambeau and Rahm from a couple of weeks back, and you found another good prop here. Number of live golfers to make the cut over 6.5 plus 125. I would love to bet that as well. But can you name names here? Like, can you rattle off like 7 plus that are going to make it?
Yeah, I mean, this is more that I think, and this is kind of when I'm anecdotal, but I think DJ can make the cut. And so I say that because I'm counting on DJ to make the cut if I go through here and I'm looking at this. So I think Rahm could make it 1, Bryson 2, Hatton 3, Cam Smith 4, and then I have DJ 5. Bubba Watson, I think, can make the cut at 6. And then can Carlos Ortiz or Sergio or Tom McKibben make the cut? One of those final few. So certainly I think I think there's 5 that are locks, and then you need to get a little luck with some other 2, but getting it at plus money, 120 plus 125, I like that bet.
Very good. That's Jeff Sealey. You can follow him on X at Cupmaker Jeff. The Cupmaker podcast is out now. He's going to stick around for one more segment. We're going to get into his outrights to win this bad boy, placements as well, coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We continue. First round of the Masters set for tomorrow. Jeff Sealey on the Progressive Guest Line. Follow him on X at Cupmaker Jeff, and his podcast called the Cupmaker Podcast is out now. You referenced this in the first segment, Jeff, and you said, look, there's only a certain amount of guys that can win this event. You know that it's probably down to like 8, 10, 12 guys, 15, whatever, that can win the whole thing. So how did you set that up by attacking the betting board from the top?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, guys, like when you look at pricing between Rahm and Fleetwood, there are 6 guys between 12 and 24 to 1. And you can make a case for all 6 of them. So, it's just a matter of picking out who you like the best. For me, I like John Rahm. You can find him still at 12 to 1, and he's going to be picking up steam as the week progresses. But there's a really strong case here. I mean, he performs well on Live every single week. And at his best, as we all know, he was the number 1 player in the world. He's 31 years old. He's in a prime, and he's in great position to take advantage of a time when Scotty's not playing his best golf right now. So I think if John Rahm's going to win one, now is as good a time as any. Another guy I love who's been in position twice now at the Masters is Ludwig Åberg. His top 10 is probably my favorite bet of any Masters bets, and I think he'll put himself in a position to be in the discussion on Sunday again. The question is, can he finish without blowing up like he has recently, seemingly about every week? That remains to be seen, but we know he can put himself in a good spot. Finished second in his first appearance, 7th last year. His form certainly indicates that he can do it. He grades out 5th in my model, but when you factor in course history, he's a very easy bet this week. And then
hold on.
Another
So
guy.
let me hop in here real quick then. So I want you to explain that, then expand on that bet that you made with the prop bet in the first segment, where you laid $1.72 on a first-time major winner, and he's in that group. But yeah, you're going to sprinkle on him here a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think again, I think that's just it. It's almost a little bit of a hedge against that. And part of it is too is as strongly as I feel, and this might sound kind of counterintuitive, but as strongly as I feel about Åberg's top 10, and I'm going to bet a little bit on him to win. I think he can, but for whatever reason, he's struggled lately on Sunday coming down the stretch.
Sure.
It's happened again and again and again. So until he does it in one of these majors, it's like Tommy Fleetwood a little bit, right? How long did it take him to break through and win an event on tour? I think I want to see it at Åberg first. I'm going to continue to bet him top 10. And I'm going to have a little bit on the outright just for FOMO purposes. But no, I certainly like him top 10, but I like that other bet a lot more, to be honest.
Is Schauffele under the radar? This is incredible. He's finished top 20 every time at the Masters in his great course history.
Yeah, that's just it. And I think given everybody else around him, he is a little bit under the radar. I mean, back-to-back top 5s. In his last 7 trips here, he has 2 top 5s and 3 more top 10s. He plays very, very well here. His biggest leak is his short game, which is pretty average. But aside from that, there's nothing not to like about Xander. I like him a lot at top 5. You can find him 3 to 1 or so top 5. I think he's also a great each way bet if you can find the each way markets we've talked about before. So I like him top 5 at 3 to 1 or an each way bet. And I definitely have him in the outrights, and actually I may take him in that pool, the VSiN pool on Splash Sports here. He may be my pick in that section.
You also like Cam Young, 22, 21 to 1?
Yeah, guys, again, and I hate to keep talking about guys at the chalk at the top, but Cam Young is just too good to pass up right now. I'm another guy who hasn't won, but I actually would favor him to win over Åberg just because I know he can. His 2 top 10s and 2 missed cuts here. And to be honest, if his short game had been a little better, he may have made a run at it in 23 and 24. Lost strokes around the green in 3 straight trips here, but his short game was very average coming in right now. Other than that, he profiles extremely similar to Xander at really a better price. Ball striking's been phenomenal, and he's actually gained a half a stroke with the putter over his last 100 rounds. So I like him top 10 at about 2 to 1 or so is my favorite way to play him. But I'm certainly going to have some outright on Cam Young. And Matt Fitzpatrick, guys, 24 to 1. You can find him right around that range still. I think he is going to be probably the most popular DFS play this week. We talked about DFS, comes in ranked number 1 in my model, ranked inside the top 12 in every single metric that I measured this week. His last 6 events, he has a 9th place of the Waste Management, a 2nd at the Players when he sort of melted, and then a win at the Valspar to go with 3 more solid finishes. Over his last 2 events, he's gained in every single measurable category. This is the best form of his career. And people may not realize this, but he's played in 10 Masters already, guys. This will be his 11th Masters. So his best finish was T7 back in 2016, followed by T10 in 2023. I don't see any reason why he can't win this week, but you can get him top 10 at 2 to 1 or so. I would start with that bet and then put a little on the outright and Matt Fitzpatrick as well. But I think he's a guy that's a much better bet than he is a DFS play this week.
All right, let's work our way down the board a little bit. Make your case here for Min-Woo Lee, who has been in really good recent form.
He has, and he's been pretty average on his 4 trips to the Masters with 1 finish inside the top 20 to go with 1 miscut. However, guys, as you mentioned, his recent form has just been spectacular. He's in the last 6 months, he's teed it up 8 times. He has not missed a cut. He's gained off the tee in every one of those 8 trips, and he has gained with a putter in 5 straight as well. So he has 4 finishes inside the top 10. His worst finish is T38. Finished T3 in Houston just a few weeks ago, where he gained in every category across the board. Again, another guy you can actually find him at about even money at top 20, including ties, which I think is a phenomenal bet. I'm all going to be on that for sure. Another guy who I think is going to be wildly popular in DFS. I think if you're an attack Min-Woo, the best way to do it is through the betting markets. Love his top 20 price, and I'm going to have a little on the outright just because he's a guy who could win this.
You are taking one bomb this week. Which golfer is that?
Yeah, guys, anything over 50 to 1, I'm going to consider a bomb, and relatively speaking, this would be that. And Akshay Bhatia, I believe, is going to win a Masters at some point. If he does this week, we're not going to see him north of 50 to 1 ever again. His Achilles heel and his argument against him at Augusta is that he really doesn't gain a ton off the tee. His driver's not good. It's not bad. It's literally exactly average. His strokes gained with the driver is 0. It's not negative. It's not positive. It's 0. Doesn't hurt him. Doesn't help. What has helped him a ton lately has been very solid iron play, and we all know about the putting, whether he's anchoring or not. Say what you want. He's putting extremely, extremely well. His form's fantastic. Win at the API, 2 more top 5s, 2 more top 20s in his last 5 events. So you could argue that he has the best form of anyone in the field coming in. He's a lefty, which fits that very popular Masters narrative. He's made the cut in his 2 prior trips here. If his ball striking stays the way it's been, I can see him make a top 20 pretty easily. He's plus 140 in the top 20 markets, and I'm going to have some at 50 to 1, 55 to 1 or so, just in case he breaks through and I lose my other bet. But I do like Akshay. Of anybody over 50 to 1, he's my favorite.
All right, buddy. Great analysis as always. Thanks so much for the time today. We appreciate that, and go get him this week, okay?
Thanks, fellas. Good luck.
Yeah. For more about Jeff's thoughts, his Cupmaker podcast is available now wherever you get your podcasts, and we thank him for joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line.
Good picks.
That would be a good leaderboard, huh?
That's right. Masters is almost here. And if you think you know the field better than your average bettor, time to prove it. The VSiN High Stakes Masters Challenge on Splash Sports. $500 entry, $100,000 guaranteed. Fantasy tiers contest built specifically for golf bettors. You draft 6, 1 from each tier of the field. Your top 5 scores count. Lowest combined score across all 4 rounds wins. Worst golfer gets dropped automatically, but miscuts carry an 8-stroke penalty. Entry closes April 9th, 8 a.m. SplashSports.com/VSiN. Code VSiN for a 50% deposit match up to $100. A free $20 quick picks entry and 100% quick picks boost. SplashSports.com/VSiN. Code VSiN.
Get in there. At last check, we had a little bit more than 50 entries remaining. And again, there are 6 tiers here to pick from. And this is where it's comparable to like DFS, right? Again, tier 1, loaded with your big boys. And we talked about this yesterday. I think I changed my tune because I said DeChambeau would probably be my guy wanting to avoid Scheffler or Rahm. I also think DeChambeau is going to be too popular now.
Very popular.
The guy that you just asked Jeff about maybe being under the radar, how about Xander?
Yep.
In this group, I think Xander's going to have a low ownage percentage there.
Great course history. I would throw Rory out.
So would I.
Defending champs do not play well here, and only 3 of the last 20 have made the top 10 following year.
I think Cam Young's going to be a little bit too popular as well.
Uh-huh.
I think people are going to avoid the guys that I just talked about and get on him. So I'll stay away there, and I think X-Man's going to be pretty much underrated there. What do you think about Koepka in tier 2? In terms of overall I don't want him, but in terms of overall popularity. Do you think out of that entire group he'd be popular? It's Pat Reed.
I think Reed and Rose, definitely Rose.
For sure he will be.
Rose, yes.
In that group, well, there's Min-Woo Lee. Maverick McNeely's probably going to have the lowest percentage, but I think Henley and Matsuyama at the top also people might try to avoid. Again, a little bit more than 50 left last check to get into that Splash Sports Masters High Stakes Challenge. Up next, we're going to dive into basketball. We'll tell you which team has gotten blasted in this spot repeatedly in recent games coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.